Click, 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 click. Going down. Hello, down. Hi, I'm Paul Murphy. I was when I woke up this morning. I haven't had any better offers, so I've stayed Paul Murphy throughout the day. Right, and I am currently reading clips from the Beethoven chapter of my book, Eric Wobble Finds a Time Machine, which is a story, as I'm sure you can guess, about a man who goes back in time, having found a time machine. What do you think that man's name is? You got it right first? It's Eric. Okay, so where were we to? We were there. So this is Beethoven talking. I was getting nowhere and getting regularly. These men, I did that completely wrong. I might start this all again, really. Hi, I'm Paul Murphy, or at least I was when I woke up this morning. I think was how I began this when I sat down or something like that. Hi, I'm Paul Murphy. If you're Paul Murphy too, well, join the club. I was getting nowhere and getting it regularly. These men were butchers and I was Sunday lunch. Oh yeah, so Beethoven's in hospital. The surreal bit is he's started growing a piano. Okay. I don't know what I was thinking when I read this. I was getting nowhere, said Beethoven, and getting it regularly. These men were butchers and I was Sunday lunch, while the piano was fuel for the stove. Then, one dark and stormy night, nothing happened, but it's a nice image to stick into a story. The next bright sunny day, though, Beverly, that's his nurse, sneaked into my room, disguised as a sample bottle, and informed me in hushed tones, which I preferred to loud colours, that it was to be that very evening that I would be wheeled into surgery on my own wheels, whence my now beloved piano was to be removed from me without anaesthetic for either of us. I'm going to change my voice down just a little bit here. My heart sank, hitting G sharp as it went. If only I could hit G spot, I could have brought the whole thing to a climax. Grown. No, I haven't grown at all. I've been this height for years. But Beverly had a daring plan. Let's blow up the English Houses of Parliament, she said. It was a daring plan, but it was also bloody stupid. Beverly, my dearest love, I gently said, don't be so fucking stupid. I'm a musician. It's hard not to be when you've just grown a piano on you. I'm not a terrorist, freedom fighter. Delete as appropriate according to your political viewpoint or architectural standpoint. We may as well just get poor old mad Guy Fawkes, the bloke who thinks he's a firecracker, to do it. No, there is only one answer to our current predicament, and that is that you, me, and the piano must make a bold escape, or at the very least, me and the piano. I won't bore you with the details, Eric, but cleverly disguising myself as a 93-year-old female bullfighter with a limp, and the piano was a colostomy bag and matching shoes, I was able to make my escape under cover of darkness and toilet paper. Alas, someone had to take my place, and it was, by process of elimination, my dearest Beverly. Sadly, they'd amputated both her legs before they realised they were her own. They were able to turn them into a couple of matching bookends, though, so she did all right out of it. As for me, I found lodging in a little Austrian village where, alone and unaided, I finally gave complete birth to a healthy 341-kilogram piano, whom I christened Steinway, in memory of absolutely no one. I immediately wrote a song about it. I did it Steinway. Some of these are a bit Beano-esque, aren't they? I do like them like that. So it goes from the heights of surreality to these Beano puns, you know, that's just how I like to write. Of course, things weren't easy to start with. Here I was, a single parent with a young piano to support, and no piano support agency to help me. I began to give music lessons to several young women in the village. Here, I'd say, play on this until you get a tune out of it. And then we tried it on the piano. Eventually I was earning enough to starve when, hobbling to the rescue, came Beverly once more. She put me in touch with an advertising agency, and now I do quite well by writing advertising jingles for several well-known products. I don't know if they're any good or not, because my hearing is now gone completely, but Beverly seems to enjoy them. I remember once I thought I caught her even breakdancing to one of my tunes, but it turned out she'd just fallen out of her wheelchair and was trying to get back into it. So that's my humble little story, Eric. I hope I haven't bored you with it. Eric awoke just in time to say no. "I'm sorry?" "No," wrote Eric on his lip. Just then the music room door opened and in came what Eric presumed was Beverly. Nurse's uniform, no legs, little clues like that. Steering herself on a tea trolley using a violin as a paddle. "Ludwig, you never told me you had a visitor," she sign wrote, causing herself to crash into the firewall. "He's only just arrived, my dearest," replied Beethoven, pulling her from the wreckage. "He's come to interview me. I think he must be from the old Musical Express." "Are you really?" asked Beverly, the nosy cow. "No, I'm a historical traveller," said Eric indignantly, putting another error to right, and over-exaggerating his true calling somewhat. After all, once a Penge bus driver, always a sad bastard. "I've come to interview Mr. Van Beethoven, but I must say I'm quite surprised to find him only writing advertising jingles," he continued. For Eric was quite surprised to find Beethoven only writing advertising jingles, hence the reason he said it. The wild, untamed rebel he. "Oh, that's not all he does. He writes novelty Christmas songs as well. I expect you've heard of 'Is That a Reindeer Up Your Jumper, Mrs. Rudolph's Breasts?' No? I'm surprised. Very popular on Ibiza holidays." "What, a Christmas song?" "No, Mrs. Rudolph's Breasts." "So, how come you're so surprised that my little Loody-Poody writes advertising jingles? What did you expect him to write?" "Well, symphonies. Allegros." "Symphonies? You hear that, Ludwig?" "Well, no, obviously you didn't." "Oi, Ludwig!" Beverly began sign writing. No overtaking was the first one, then she went back to her sentence. "This chap reckons that you, shall I do it that way? That you should be writing symphonies and classical music. What do you say to that?" For all the sign writers out there, I can do sign writing, but I've got a stammer. I gotta leave the ad-libs alone. I'm on 5 a day. "Ludwig, what do you say to that?" Ludwig made a well-known sign language reply, using only 2 fingers. He was a man of few words. Still, Beverly was a woman of few legs. "Would you like to hear one of his jingles?" Beverly asked Eric, pointlessly asking Beethoven. "Okay," said Eric, who would like to hear one of the jingles and didn't mind saying so, although he did mind so saying. Beverly nodded to Beethoven. Beverly nodded back. Beverly took a throw in. Corner kicks not being her forte. Oh, man. Beethoven scored. Well, he would do. He was a musician. Musical term japery there. Hope you appreciated it. "Ludwig, young Eric here would like to hear one of your tunes. Be a love and blast him out a few bars on the piano, would you?" Sign wrote Beverly, breaking 3 fingers in the process. Unluckily for Eric, they were his. Beethoven sat at the piano, flexed his wrists, his legs and his telephone, and began playing. Telephone, that joke, man, I wrote that a long time ago, didn't I? Remember telephones? You know, they had these flex cables that went doing, 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 doing. Terrible things. Used to get them. Sometimes when I was mean as a child, I used to swap them for my mother's diaphragm. Boy, did she look funny coming down the stairs. Where did I get to? Beethoven sat at the piano, flexed his wrists, his legs and his telephone, and began playing. "He's already said that once." Bloody repeats. Dun 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 dun. Bracket NB if this is the piano. "I recognise that tune," thought Eric, who could also recognise a strepsil. Groan. Again Beethoven played. Dun 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 dun. NB. This is the piano again. Oh. This means nothing at all to you, but there's a piece here I'd obviously put in when I was writing, which says the auto format template has, in the final edit, ended this damn page halfway down instead of at the bottom, where it was when I wrote it. So, and then it does the old bit again. That's just a personal diatribe against mine. If you're using Kindle DP, not double penetration, well, maybe you are. If so, top job. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So you write your books, right? And you write them down, you've got the thing there. Every book I've done. And then you put it down and you format and you write it on the page. And I write it, so the jokes, and they end on such a point. So you end the page on this joke and then you start the next page on the next one. And then you send it off to online. I'm just going to post this online. I haven't got any online stamps. Oh, okay, I'll do it next week. What was I on about? Oh, I can't remember what the heck I was talking about now. Yeah, so, oh yes. And then you put it up there, and then it says, peruse your manuscript, or something like that. It doesn't say it in that posh way. And it's all over the shop. It looks like someone's taken all your words, thrown them into a food blender, taken them out, put them in next to a ceiling fan, scattered them out to the four corners of the winds, gone out with a javelin, skewered them up, and then got a blind man to pick them out at random and a dog to read them back to you. Or something like that. Anyway, that's just... So, Jeff Bezos, never mind going to space, sort your bleeding KDP out. Love you, Jeff, don't take my books off. Where did I get to? Oh, yeah. I've got it, exclaimed Eric, and he had two, which is better than having one. Oh, I see. I've got it, exclaimed Eric, and he had two, which is better than having one. Although they don't rub together on a hot day if you've only got one. Apparently Hitler only had one. If he had two, he might have been a much happier person. And so might Eva Braun, his seldom pleasured missus, who, although it is not known to the world at large, was the true designer of the V2. It wasn't meant as a rocket, though, more of a marital aid, if you get my drift. Think about what the V stands for. Sadly, her carnal lust led her to overemphasize the dimensions, and no batteries could be found to fit the thing, which is a tragedy for her and ultimately for central London as well. Still, as Virulin used to say, if not for this, I'd still be a waitress at Greasy Fred's all-night dysentery cafe. A terrible place. The only thing on the menu was writing. And the only thing written on it was whale, which Fred used to get from a Japanese tugboat captain named Wobble every day, each day, all day. Fred would serve whale, fried, boiled. I can see the punchline to this coming, even though I haven't read this book for like 10 years. Fried, boiled, steamed, whatever condition he was in, he'd serve it. And in the end, the customers began to mock him. Into his cafe they'd come and say, "Oh no, whale meat again." Alas, none of it was true, folks, so don't read the previous passage. Meanwhile, several sentences ago, Eric had said, "I've got it." "It's your fifth symphony," Eric said to Beethoven. "What?" "That dun 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 dun. It's your fifth symphony. Look, tell him, will you?" Eric implored Beverly, who obligingly translated, but added the word twat out of inspiration. "Fifth symphony? What fifth symphony? Come to that, what first, second, third or fourth symphony? And is there anything on an each-way symphony? It's not a symphony at all. It's the jingle for Sharp's laxatives. Dun 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 dun. Sharp's laxatives. Quite catchy, I thought. I don't reckon it'll stretch to a symphony. Pretty weird subject anyway. Who'd want a symphony about laxatives?" Andy Van Warhol chirped in Beverly, with one eye on 15 Minutes of Fame, the other on 15 Minutes of Fortune, and two legs on the mantelpiece. Goodness me, this chapter goes on longer than I thought, so I'm just going to do one tiny little bit now, and I'll finish off. Actually, it might work, as I said to the wife on the honeymoon. I don't know why she wasn't there. When she left, she said to me, 10 years of marriage, I've faked all my orgasms. I said, well, okay, I wasn't there for half of them. Where did I get to? Hello, ex-dearest, wherever you're to. Actually, it might just work, mused Beethoven. After all, that tosser Breck did his threepenny opera about three girls called Penny, who had leprosy. Admittedly, it fell away a bit in the second half. Oh no! Still, no one knows what the hell these things are about in any case. I can see it now, unfolding before my very ears. Hans van Tedwen. Hans van Tedwen? A lonely middle-aged shepherd on the M11, egg-bound since he was 14 after a traumatic incident with a llama in a public lavatory in Bude, has tried every potion going to relieve his problem and his pancreas. He's tried massages, he's tried sausages, he's tried witch doctors, he's tried what doctors. Unlike Tony Blair, he knows there's no point in trying spin doctors. He's tried nude mud wrestling with an 18-year-old blonde called Imelda, but that's another story entirely. In desperation, he joins a religious mission in the darkest part of Bonn, Strasse. There's no streetlights there, where he worships at the feet of the Guru and at the bosom of Frau May Avadance. The Guru teaches him the deepest secrets of Tibetan bowel relief. Frau May teaches him not to talk with his mouth full. Alas, even the Tibetan bowel relief secrets fail to dislodge his problem. They only work on Tibetans and people called Yakamoto Bustlesmith. In desperation and purple velvet trousers to match his complexion, Hans roams the streets of Vienna, armed with 83 jars of stewed prunes and a funnel. Give me death or give me expectoration, he cries to the heavens. The heavens ignore him, the rotten bastards. However, his pleas are heard by a passing granny fruitcake, regarded as a bit nutty by her neighbours, who blindfolds him, takes his wallet, and does something that tickles. She then leaves him for exhausted in a shop doorway. Somehow Hans breaks free, possibly due to the fact that he wasn't restrained in any way. He looks up, he looks down, he prefers up, so he goes back to that, and his eyes are light on a glowing word above him: mystical, magical, neon, chemist. It's a sign, cries Hans. Boom, boom. Hans struggles into the shop, fighting all the way. He's trying to use the exit. He stumbles to the Thank you so much. How much do I owe you? Where'll I get it? Oh yeah, that bit there. Hans struggles into the shop, fighting all the way. He's trying to use the exit. I enjoyed that line so much I read it myself, just as a Christmas treat. He stumbles to the counter where, half numb and rambling, a normal Friday night, he gets sold condoms. He eats two immediately. They don't help his digestive impasse, but now he knows he can have oral sex without getting pregnant. I know. Bad taste. Or so the wife tells me. That was a bad one, that one. I didn't enjoy reading that one. As the music builds and builds, so does the tension, and so does Hans's colon. As he staggers his way to the streets via the entrance, he spies on the rack before him sharps, laxatives. The drums roll, if you push them because they're round. The horns get blown, if the missus is in an accommodating mood. And the cymbals crash, if they're driven by Ant McPartlin. It's not quite topical, but it was when I wrote it. Love you, Ant. How you doing, guys? Hans clutches the laxatives like a drowning man clutches a straw, which is a pretty dumb thing to do, isn't it? I mean, oh dear, I'm drowning. Shall I reach for this nice inflatable life jacket, or shall I just grab that straw over there? I know, I'll go for the straw. The milkshake might come along later. Anyway, as the music reaches a crescendo, it takes a left and stops outside the pub. Hans swallows the whole pack of laxatives in one go, which is all he's after in any case. One go. See? He makes his way to the bathroom and locks the door. The music mutes. The tension rises. The cat wants feeding. Suddenly, there is an explosion of sound, and it's not from the musicians. As the curtain falls, a smiling Hans puts another toilet roll in the fridge, and we hear the closing notes, dun 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 da, played by Hans on his own, and you don't want to know on his own what. Beethoven finished his outline as Beverly outlined his finish. Oh, Ludwig, you're a stupid twonk, she said. What? Oh, Ludwig, you're a genius, she sign-languaged. True, I'll get onto it tonight. No more of this eking out a living selling eeks. That'll be my fifth symphony. We'll remix the toilet cleaner advert music for the fourth, change the match of the day theme into the first, and pad out the Wunderbar advert for the 38th D. It's the good life for us now, Beverly, and may I die of pox and be buried next to Schubert if I ever forget your contribution. Then it's got an asterisk because he was. That is what happened to Beethoven. Ludwig, you're so wonderful, me sign-wrote Beverly. Sadly, she sign-wrote it in Moroccan due to cramp in her thumbs, and it reached Beethoven as, did I ever tell you you're a lousy lay, you bold deaf, co-molesting tosspot, and Beethoven never forgot. Oh, there's only a little bit more left, so I'll go. Eric knew his time with Beethoven was complete, as his time chopper materialised in the corner of the room. My time with you is complete, as my time chopper has materialised in the corner of the room, he informed Beethoven for all the good it did. Hey, you're adorable, but you're beautiful, sang Eric, for all the good it did him. Eric is leaving now, sign wrote Beverly, crocheting a cardigan to the same. Fare thee well then, Eric Beethoven, who could have been quite a good lyricist if it wasn't for the fact he was crap. Thank you for everything except the smell, said Beverly, making a final verbal contribution to the chapter. She added many other profound and prophetic points of interest immediately, but did them all in sign language. If you want to improvise and read them to yourself, then simply stand up and wave your arms about like a man who has just mistaken his underarm deodorant can for fly spray. I'm sure everyone else in the library would be happy to carry on as they were. Eric waved Beverly and Beethoven goodbye, and also the copyrights. Goodbye Beethoven, goodbye Beverly, and goodbye copyrights, he waved. He could at least have taken his hand out of his pockets, thought an irked, but not unimpressed, Beverly. Eric set the time chopper towards its next destination, coincidentally setting himself towards it as well. As the great prophet once said, there's many a stone in many a kidney, and if you'd ever eaten at the Happy Puker on the A398, you'd know what he meant, although not why it's written here. That is it for the end of that chapter, which went on about 5 minutes longer than I anticipated. Okay! Paul Murphy's book, Eric Wobble Finds a Time Machine, for your delectation, can be found on Amazon. That's the barcode, and I think it's only about $9.99, but why not buy 38? I'm sure you'll know 37 other people.